Black lives matter, period. And so I would yield to any of my colleagues on the Republican side who can unequivocally say, as we calibrate where we are right now, that Black lives matter.
Thank the gentleman for yielding. Does the gentleman believe that all lives matter as well? I think Black lives matter. I think all lives matter.
Reclaiming my time. Can anyone on the Republican side say unequivocally Black lives matter?
Unequivocally, all lives matter. Why is that a problem to acknowledge?
Reclaiming my time. I think it's clear that my colleagues on the other side would like to put up a straw man to not have the uncomfortable conversation that we need to have about race.
Imagine being so insecure that you're not even able to say that Black lives matter. Just matter without qualifying it. This is Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz putting on full display where he and his party stand on the issue of race in this country. Because after hundreds of thousands of Americans of all races have taken to the streets, after localities have moved to swiftly enact police reforms, after support for Black Lives Matter has surged to unprecedented levels, the fact that Matt Gaetz can't even bring himself to utter the words Black Lives Matter tells you everything you need to know. I don't know who still needs to hear this, but saying Black Lives Matter does not mean it is at the exclusion of anyone else. Saying Black Lives Matter does not make white ones not matter. That's not how this works. There's not only a finite amount of mattering that can go around. You can say Black Lives Matter, and it doesn't mean that other lives don't matter. It means that Black ones do. Period. By the way, if you really, truly believe that all lives matter, then it should be pretty easy to say that Black lives matter. If you're that incapable of saying Black lives matter, of letting those words leave your lips, then I'm not sure I buy it when Gaetz screeches that he believes that all lives matter. To me, it sounds an awful lot like Gaetz is suggesting that only the white ones do. Consider too that the district Gaetz represents is 77% white, and the people who support him are the deepest depths of Trump's base. So when you wonder why Gaetz wouldn't have the basic decency to say that Black lives matter without playing victim and presenting it as some attack on white people, remember who he panders to. The fact is, Gaetz is still deferring to the same tired arguments that conservatives propped up years ago to save themselves from having to commit the cardinal Republican sin of acknowledging the humanity of Black people. The vast majority of this country no longer buys the excuse that saying Black Lives Matter means white ones or any other ones don't. It's not exclusionary. It is simply in direct response to police violence and police brutality and acknowledges that basic truth that Black ones do. That's it. Gaetz is probably in the same camp as those people stuck in 2016 who claim that Colin Kaepernick kneeling during the national anthem was an attack on our flag or on our military. When Gaetz should know, as the congressman who represents more veterans than any other lawmaker in Congress, that our veterans fought for the right to peacefully protest. That's what's supposed to separate this country from those we fight against. This country isn't about compulsory displays of patriotism. It's not about mandating standing for the flag or singing the national anthem. This isn't North Korea. And this country is certainly not about demonizing Americans who have enough courage to fight for a better future. So Gaetz can pretend to sanctimoniously grandstand and prop up false choices as if saying Black Lives Matter means others don't, but just remember that he's performing for Donald Trump. Because for some reason, which I'm sure you can probably figure out by now, Trump has decided that even though the majority of Americans favor the protesters marching against police brutality, that the only position he's willing to take is in favor of the police and against the hundreds of thousands of people who've taken to the streets as Black men in this country continue to get mowed down by reckless law enforcement. And because Matt Gaetz's only mandate in Congress is to grovel at Trump's feet, well then of course his position is no different. If Matt Gaetz actually cared about the veterans who were willing to sacrifice their lives for this country, or even the people of color in his own district, he wouldn't make a spectacle of himself refusing to even acknowledge the humanity of a sizable portion of Americans. He can twist himself into pretzels and try and make this about semantics, but underneath all of his showmanship, all he's doing is conflating patriotism with racism. If you like that video, please check out my brand new podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, where I'll cover the most important political stories of the week and interview major players in the world of politics. Available now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Check it out and subscribe now.